Hey guys, it's Graham from Type What coming at you to check in on what's going on here. These are insulin pens. So why am I taking insulin? Well, I'm part Type 1 diabetic, part not. That's why I'm called Type What. So a normal Type 1 diabetic fasting blood sugars are perfect. And then the way I've gotten to do that is through diet. My fasting blood sugars were terrible before the diet. They were 264. And so using diet, I was able to get down into the 80s, which is amazing. Let me just check in right now. So right now, my blood sugar is 80, exactly. Looks backwards on the camera, but you can figure that out. So why would I need insulin if my fasting blood sugars are perfect? Well, it's because the production of insulin in my body isn't enough to handle carbs in food or sugars in food. Now, I don't eat a lot of carbs or sugars right now, and it's okay, but I'm really limited. So I'm doing the whole food plant-based diet. So I'm not eating meat or dairy, which can be a very low carb meals. So I'm more limited in what I can eat. And so there's just different nutrients that I want to get on a regular basis that are hard on my body because of the lack of insulin production. So my insulin production has gone down in the past year. However, there have been other markers that have been improving, including my chronic inflammation response syndrome biomarkers, which is how you measure your mold toxicity in your body and mold response. My immune system output has been high, and then it was measured over 250, then it was measured at 151, and then recently again back at over 250. So some of what we're doing is working and improving, but a lagging indicator of that is the insulin and the diabetes effects. So we're still trying to attack the root cause. We're going full force on that. But in the meantime, I'm going to supplement with a couple small doses of insulin to help me eat things like berries, which have a lot of micronutrients. Now, these are for children, right? So because I'm going to have I only need a little bit. I'm going to do between 1 to 4 units, depending on what I eat. And these can even do half units. So my endocrinologist from City of Hope, who's amazing, she gave me the children version so that I can do the half units if I need to. And so, so now I have this tool I can use to go eat whatever I want and still be healthy blood sugar wise. So part of me was like, all right, well, do I go out and eat something I've been craving, or do I, be real disciplined and only use it for the really healthy food that I want to improve? So, in my mind, it's been going back and forth on it. My wife and I like to go to Earth Cafe, and so we're thinking of going to Earth Cafe, and there's something that I crave there, which is the breakfast bread pudding. And you pair that with a Spanish latte. So the breakfast bread pudding is bread, which has tons of carbs. And then it also has caramelized bananas. I get the plain bread with the caramelized bananas. So carbs in the bananas, they're caramelized, so sugar on that. And then it has cream that you put on top of it, like a milk or something. And then when I do that, I usually pair that with what's called a Spanish latte, which has condensed milk, which has sweetener in it. So it's a ton of carbs. So I don't know, like that's something that I want, and we're gonna go to breakfast right now. So I'm maybe gonna try that. I'm still like on the fence because it's so many carbs that like I don't know if I should be doing that. But I am. I do have the tools to use, so I can treat myself. I haven't had that in over 2 years. I had the ability. I'm thinking I might treat myself. Treat yourself, but I also don't want to overdo it, right? So the and there's a couple of reasons. The first one is when I first saw her last year, and we talked about this. I had gone from 264 fasting blood sugar to 80s. So my body, by giving it good food, basically, was healing itself to a certain degree. And it did that really well. So I had this momentum going with my body healing itself. So I didn't feel like I needed to take any extra external medication. I had already gone off all of my prescribed medication, all 6 of them. And so and I was able to eat foods that I still was able to eat beans at that point. I can't eat beans right now, which is one of the foods I want to eat. Um, and so at that point, I didn't feel like I needed it. But now, like, I can't eat bananas. I can't eat, which I ate a lot of for the chocolate ice cream. I used to have that almost every night, and it's just a little too high for me. Bananas are too high for me. So that was one reason. Is I had like momentum going with my health, and my body was healing itself. So that, I thought I could maybe keep that going and get all the way better. It hasn't been as fast as I had hoped. So there's still some other things that we're learning, and there's not a playbook on this stuff, like how to reverse type 1 diabetes. So trial and error a little bit. We're figuring some things out along the way. And the second reason is because I'm in a mostly stable state, I don't have to worry about any serious dangers. So the only serious danger I have to worry about is my blood sugars go high and stay high for an extended period of time. My organs will start to malfunction over time, and it can take like years, right, of that happening. And since I have a good fasting blood sugar, it's not really a big concern. I just need to make sure I don't spike too high. Okay, so I don't have a lot of like really dangerous diabetes isn't super dangerous for me right now. However, when you take insulin, you can go low on your blood sugar. Okay, now that can be really dangerous. So you have to have like these sweetener things to help you spike your blood sugar if you're going low that act quickly. And so I had a hypoglycemic episode when I was on my medication and doing the diet before I knew the diet was working. The diet had brought my fasting blood sugars down to a certain point, and then the medication was making it go even lower. And so that even lower meant I was hypoglycemic, which means I have low blood sugar. And then your body goes into this starvation mode, and you can die if you go too low. So it's really dangerous. So that's the danger with insulin is you can go too low. And so there's a little bit of caution within that, right? So I read a book by Dr. Bernstein, who's done incredible research and helped diabetics get to this point where we understand that it's about the foods we eat that spikes our blood sugar. Before that, it was like medieval times, and people were dying in 5 years because of diabetes. What he says in his book is he has this program that he's used. He's been type 1 diabetic since a child, and he's 80 years old. And so the way he survived is what he calls by normalizing your blood sugar, meaning taking a very precise amount of blood glucose basically stays basically flat. Okay, so you normalize. So non-normalization is like going like this, which is the diabetic roller coaster a lot of type 1s or type 2s are familiar with. And then what happens with the roller coaster is you eat food and you start going high, and then you take insulin and you start going low, but you took too much insulin, so you go lower than you want, and that's dangerous. So then you have to eat something, even if you're full or whatever. And so then you go high, and if you eat too much of that, then guess what? You go high again, and then you take more insulin. So it can be a vicious cycle if you're not very precise about it. And one of the things Dr. Bernstein talks about is, he calls it the law of small numbers. So he recommends having an extremely small amount of carbs per meal. Therefore, you need an extremely small amount of insulin. And so any variance on that little roller coaster would be small if you do mess up at all, right? It's a really, really good strategy, and it's worked very well for him. So I'm going to try to stick to that whenever I do insulin. So, that keeping that in mind, that bread pudding is like tons of carbs, and I don't know. It is early in the day, so I'm not going to worry about like falling asleep and having to have low numbers while I sleep, which can be dangerous. So my general strategy is going to stay the same for nighttime, very low carb for nighttime. But we're going to breakfast, and I think I'm going to do a little. I'm gonna try it out, and it's going to be crazy, and I'll document it. So one thing that I started doing is Instagram. So I'm documenting every single thing I put into my body, and that includes all the food and water and drinks. So I'm going to document that on Instagram, and then I'll do an Instagram story on the insulin journey with the bread pudding and Spanish latte. So we'll see what happens, and I'll record my blood sugars as they go up or down from the insulin. So check that out on Instagram. I also, you can follow me on Twitter at the same handle, type what with 3 A's, type what. And so I'm on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube now. So you can find me wherever you are. And this is the video about starting insulin. So I'm hoping this will enable me to eat a little bit more variety of healthy foods. I'm still going to eat healthy. This is the kind of a one celebration thing for me today. But yeah, I'm going to keep these. I'm probably not going to use these a lot, but there's going to be special meals where I'm going to have a little bit, and it's going to be mostly around good nutrition and not a bunch of sugar and carbs. All right, that's it. Type what is going to sign out and go make an Instagram story about my very first use of insulin with the Spanish bread pudding, Spanish latte, and breakfast bread pudding at Earth Cafe. All right, guys. I will see you later. Type what? Signing out.